So if I asked you what you wanted for your children as they grow into adults, how would you answer? Happy, healthy, successful? Yeah, those are probably the top three. But what if I told you in this video and others, I'm going to provide information that most parents don't know, most teachers don't know, information that will help your children excel far beyond your wildest dreams. Well, briefly, I just want to talk about allegory learning, how the Max Rhymes teaches in allegory. And with that, I mean we utilize illustrative work along with characters to complement the message within the books. Well, a lot of children's books do this, of course, when they use the illustrations. However, there's something deeper here. In addition to the general meaning within our rhymes and the illustrative work, we've got a hidden element. Each rhyme, as a matter of fact, is said in the present tense. It's stated as a statement of fact. Okay, so as the child reads the message in this way, that statement of fact, it becomes their truth. So how does it become truth? It has to do with brainwaves. Between the ages of 0 to 7, the child is virtually learning through hypnosis. It's downloading the messages at the subconscious. This is why babies can learn multiple languages at the same time. They don't have to study the languages. It just gets downloaded and they're learned. It's truly what they call hypnotic learning. But we have a very limited amount of time because this type of learning gets shut off. Listen carefully to Dr. Bruce Lipton, how he talks about and explains whole brain function next.
How would you quantify how much easier it is to program positive conditioning from birth versus waiting until one becomes an adult to change?
The first thing is this: how would you quantify behavior? Well, that's up to those people that do sociological, psychological testing to see the response of an individual's behavior. But why would it be easier to program the conditioning from birth versus waiting until one becomes an adult? It's very important, and that is simply this. The child's brain under 7 is in what is called whole brain function. Whole brain function is when right and left hemispheres of the brain are coordinated, working together, and in harmony. After age 7, the two brain functions separate. They're still present, but sometimes during the day we're a little bit more left brain, and then sometimes during the day we're a little bit more right brain, and then later in the same day we're back to left brain. It's like a wave, depending on which brain we're into at a certain time. So we could start out and go, okay, I'm in right brain. I'm in left brain. I'm in right brain during the day. Yes, it goes in cycles like waves. And I say, why is it important? Well, there are different characteristics to each hemisphere. The left brain is more associated with analytical thought, words, details, and things, pieces like that. The right brain is really more specialized to see whole pictures. It's more emotional. It's more artistic. It has different characters and qualities to it. When both brains are working in harmony, that's a super time to get information downloaded. Think about it this way. A 3-year-old child whose brain is in whole brain function can learn 3 different languages simultaneously if that's what's being spoken in his family at that time. What's interesting? The same child, you wait until it's 10, that's when the brain separates from each other, so we have brain dominance during the day. When a child is 10, try and teach it 1 new language. All of a sudden it's like, oh my God, it's really difficult to get 1 language in. And when it was 3, it downloaded 3 languages. I say, what's the difference? Whole brain is super learning characteristics. You can download massive quantities of information. Yes, this is the nature of the brain function before age 7, because it is then when we have to put in the programs by which we're going to run our lives. And there's so much detail, so much information that if a child had to take it in like a study process, it would never really get in there. So why is this important about programming? The answer is this. The most effective programming of a human is during the first 7 years because the brain is already predisposed in theta, which is by definition hypnosis, which means simply this. Information directly downloads into the subconscious and becomes data programs virtually instantaneously. As we get older and we get into brain dominance, where sometimes the left hemisphere or sometimes the right hemisphere, depending on what time of the day, etc. it is, it's very difficult to get new information in because whole brain integrates all characteristics of what we're trying to learn. It's different than just the left brain alone or the right brain alone. So as an adult, we're already operating in separate hemispheres. And try to teach a person a new concept once they start having a brain dominance experience is very difficult because they're not in a whole brain function, which is the basis of superlearning. In fact, there are new energy psychology modalities that allow us to rewrite the programs in the subconsciousness. You know how they get them in there? They return us back to using a whole brain function. There are exercises where you can integrate the left and the right hemispheres, and when you bring them back in harmony with each other, there's a moment of super learning where when they're in that moment, you're just like that 3-year-old child. Boom, information in, down, and already present. So it's very important to recognize that if you want to change the programming or effective programming, it's easy to do that when a child is under 7. But programming is a much more difficult aspect. It's doable, but more effort required when we become an adult. So let's start off with giving our children the best foundation in the world so as they become adults, they don't have to learn this stuff. They'll already be living in harmony and peace on the planet. So evolution really starts with our children. Now, even if we're older and we have negative programs, we can change them, but it's a little different aspect. It's a little more effort or work involved once we become an adult versus how we did it when we were under 7. So this is the reason why that 0 to 7 is a very important part of downloading programs that can influence us the rest of our lives.